with danger and with daring rights. To the hilt we take you there, where courage meets a throat.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're exploring a life that really defies easy definition. We're talking about Toni Del Rio.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine a transgender gypsy sword swallower. Her story, it spans the mid-20th century, really breaking molds and captivating audiences. Just an incredible figure.
Absolutely incredible.
Now, this deep dive, it's built from, well, a fascinating collection of sources. We're drawing primarily from To the Hilt, A Sword Swallower's History of Sword Swallowing. That's by Dan Meyer and Mark Hartzman.
Right. Good stuff there.
And also pulling information from the Sword Swallowers Association International website, specifically their Hall of Fame section.
Yeah, and our mission here really is to unpack Toni Del Rio's extraordinary journey. We want to pull out those, crucial insights from her life.
Exactly.
We'll be exploring these powerful themes of identity, performance, and just incredible resilience. What's truly fascinating, I think, is how her story weaves together so many different narratives. It makes her not just a performer, but a genuine trailblazer.
A trailblazer is a great word for it. Her story, it really begins April 2nd, 1924, Tampa, Florida. That's where she was born, as Nilo Garrido.
Nilo Garrido.
And Nilo came from this gypsy family, performers,
Yeah.
wire walkers, originally from Andorra.
Right, Andorra.
They made their way to Tampa via Cuba in the early 1920s. Seems they had a circus booking.
Yeah.
So right from the start, a life just steeped in the performance world.
Exactly. And Nilo's early life was, well, certainly distinct. Born a boy, but described back then using the medical language of the time as a pseudo-hermaphrodite.
Okay.
A term they use for what we now understand, as intersex variations. And then there was an accident on the high wire.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately caused some nerve damage in one leg. But being surrounded by sideshow performers constantly, Nilo quickly absorbed all sorts of skills.
Resourceful.
Very, including, incredibly, the art of sword swallowing. Learned that from an uncle. It really speaks to the adaptability, the resourcefulness within that whole community.
That's a really powerful point. Resourcefulness. And Nilo, before World War II, really leaned into that unique physical reality, didn't she? Performing as a half and half.
That's right, the half and half act.
Which often meant like a split costume or some visual presentation to embody both male and female characteristics. It captivated audiences, playing on those, well, perceived biological ambiguities of the time.
With circuses and sideshows.
It's quite a testament to how she navigated her identity even back then, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Then during World War II, Nilo also served U.S. Navy.
Right, the Navy.
As a registered nurse stationed in Hawaii. And it was during this period that a really significant physical change occurred. Breasts began to grow, which, well, ultimately led to a medical discharge from the Navy.
So this pivotal moment then, in the 1950s, it marked a truly profound personal transformation. Nilo Garrido made the courageous decision to undergo transgender surgery.
Yeah, a huge decision.
And the claim, as we understand it from the sources, is that she became the second person in the U.S. to become transgender, following Christine Jorgensen's surgery, though Jorgensen's was in Denmark.
Right, Jorgensen was first internationally recognized, but Toni's was potentially the second U.S. case.
After this life-changing event, she fully embraced her new identity, changed her name to Toni Del Rio. I mean, what kind of courage do you think that took? Yeah, especially for that era.
Oh, tremendous courage. Just immense to make such a personal decision, which was still so, well, novel and largely misunderstood by society.
Naturally.
And then to continue performing publicly, that speaks volumes about her resolve. After the war, Toni Del Rio just sort of seamlessly resumed her performing career.
Wow.
Went straight back to working with circuses and sideshows, continued her half and half act, and really solidified her reputation as a truly renowned sword swallower.
And she really honed that craft too, didn't she?
Yeah.
In the 50s, she developed her skills even further. She was guided by another legendary performer, Mimi Garneau.
Mimi Garneau, yeah. Down in Gibsonton, Florida. Gibtown.
That's right. Toni even used Mimi's personal swords.
Oh.
And she performed as a female sword swallower throughout the 1950s and 60s. That's quite a unique lineage of skill right there.
It truly is. And her signature performance, it was something else entirely. Picture this. She's standing just 5 feet, 2 inches tall.
Tiny.
Tiny. And she would swallow a 17.5-inch bayonet. The sources describe her pulling like a teenage boy from the audience to hold her waist while she performed.
Get out. Really?
Yeah. The blade would drop with just a snap of her finger, And then, with a flick of her pinky finger, it would thrust back up into the air before she caught it.
Wow.
And then she'd turn to the bewildered teen and ask if they'd like a turn.
Laugh slightly. That's incredible.
It raises that important question, doesn't it? What kind of audacity, what kind of stage presence did that take to command an audience like that?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
It definitely speaks to a magnetic stage presence, way beyond just the skill itself.
Right.
I imagine it was a combination of just absolute mastery over her body, complete confidence, and maybe, a touch of theatrical mischief to engage the audience so directly. It's not just about the trick, is it? It's the whole experience she created.
Exactly. It's control, vulnerability, and a direct challenge to the audience's perception of what's possible. And her influence, it extended beyond her own performances. She was a true mentor in the sideshow community.
Okay.
Toni performed with Johnny Mia on the Lou Walters show, and she trained two really notable individuals. First, Eddie Miller, a knife thrower back in 63, 64.
Right, Eddie Miller. And then perhaps the most famous protege, a young 16-year-old runaway orphan named Red Stewart.
Red Stewart, yeah.
She took him under her wing in Louisiana, spring of 67 apparently, and taught him, well, all the sideshow arts. That's an incredible act of generosity.
Yeah.
Mentorship.
It really is. And they later collaborated. They worked together specifically on the Johnny Howard sideshow in 1969.
So beyond the mentorship and these incredible stage acts, Toni's career, vibrant as it was, wasn't without its extraordinary dangers. There's this one memorable incident from 71.
Oh, yeah.
She was bitten by a South American anaconda.
An anaconda? Where?
In Little Rock, Arkansas, September 20th, 1971. And this story was apparently so sensational, newspapers all over the country picked it up.
Wow. An anaconda bite. Despite moments like that, though, her career certainly endured. We know she continued her work as a half and half.
Still doing that act.
Yep, on Dean Potter's sideshow as late as 1982. Shows remarkable longevity in a really demanding profession.
It really does. And she wasn't just a performer. Toni Del Rio also had this wonderfully creative, almost impish side, developed her own unique attractions for the carnival.
Oh, like what?
Well, there was the man-eating fish.
Yeah.
You buy your ticket, go inside, and turned out to be just a man sitting there eating sardines.
Chuckles. Okay, that's pretty good.
Right. And then the boy who plays with a pink rattler.
Right.
Which was, you guessed it, a boy playing with a pink baby rattle.
Classic Carney ingenuity.
Exactly. She famously summed up her philosophy, apparently saying, you got to be able to do everything in the carnival.
And she certainly did, demonstrating that longevity, performing well into at least the mid-1980s.
Incredible career. Toni Del Rio's incredible life story, though, it came to a close on April 28th, 1987. She passed away at Tampa General Hospital. She was 63. Cause of death was noted as a heart attack. And sadly, she was buried in an unknown grave, Potter's Field.
Yeah, that's a poignant end. But her lasting legacy, it lives on in a very tangible way, particularly through her swords.
They swords.
Yeah, Mimi Garneau's swords, the ones Toni used. They were bequeathed by Toni's sister to her star pupil, Red Stewart.
Red Stewart again.
Exactly. And Red, in turn, dispersed them to other sword swallowers, people like Dan Meyer and Sharon Henning. Then, in 2003, one of her swords was presented by Red Stewart to Dan Meyer. And it's now part of the archival collection of the SSAI Sword Swallowers Hall of Fame. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not just about an object. It's about a lineage. It's the physical embodiment of a performer's journey passing down.
That's fascinating, isn't it? How the actual tools of her trade became this powerful way to preserve her story.
Right.
It's not just memory, but a physical connection through generations of performers.
Right, yeah.
Really underscores how her influence just transcended her own time on stage.
Precisely. It keeps the story alive in a very real sense.
So what does this all mean for you, listening in? Toni Del Rio's life was, well, truly an incredible tapestry. You've got this unique birth, early performances as a half and half, then her groundbreaking transgender journey, becoming this masterful sword swallower, a mentor, even a creative sideshow entrepreneur. Her story is just a profound testament to individuality, adaptability, and, frankly, the sheer audacity of living life entirely on your own terms.
Absolutely. And as we reflect on her story, it really raises an important question, I think, for you to consider. What does Toni Del Rio's life story teach us? Especially her openness about her identity, her diverse acts. What does it say about how public perception of identity and performance has evolved?
Yeah.
And maybe about the boundaries of what society accepts, both back then and maybe even now? Something to mull over?
Definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
The world is absolutely full of fascinating stories like Toni Del Rio's. just waiting for you to discover.
Yeah.
Keep exploring.
To the hills with every breath, dancing close to life and death. Stories written deep in flesh, legends born in every test. Through history's winding path, crafted with an iron grasp. Voices from a world gone past, echo in the feet they clasp.